Hi, I'm James Shillinglaw, and I'm here with Zane Kerby, who's been on with us many times over the years, President and CEO of ASTA. And today, actually tomorrow, and when this airs, is the day, September 30th, that the Centers for Disease Control it either lets the no sale order for cruising expire or extends it. We're hoping that they are just going to let it expire, and then the plans can be put into place to restart cruising. And why we've asked Zane on is that ASTA and Zane have been very avid supporters of the cruise industry during this whole time. And indeed, this past week, they put comments in with the CDC, and they have made some very strong statements about cruising in general. And we're going to find out all about that and more on Insider Travel Report. Now, Zane, first of all, how are you and where are you? I see you're back in your headquarters for a little while there, huh?
Yeah, James, it's great to be on with you. Thanks for the invitation. And yes, we're back in 675 North Washington, which is ASTA's worldwide headquarters here in Alexandria, just outside Washington, D.C. It is great to be back in the office. We're here. We're social distancing. We wear masks in all public areas. And so we feel like we can manage the health risk of coming into the office now, which is great.
Now, the past few months, you've written articles, you've actually appeared with us in really defending what's going on with the cruise industry, which was really the only segment of the travel industry that was totally shut down and remains so. But now we're down to the wire here, and the day when this appears will be the day, as I mentioned before, that the CDC either extends its no sale order or just lets it expire. Now, what do you believe? First, do you believe the CDC will extend the order or not?
Yeah, I mean, like you, we're sort of hitting refresh on our web browsers in terms of trying to figure out when the CDC is going to make this announcement. We hope that no announcement is coming, and that they just, again, to your point, let the no sale order expire. That'd be great. We would hope that they would put something a little more formal in place, as to some sort of protocols that we could then publish and help the traveling public understand exactly what's been happening for all these months behind the scenes in order to make cruising a little more safe, or to at least safe in the COVID or the pandemic world. But we'll take whatever we can get as long as the no sale order is lifted.
Yeah.
Just the fact that, I mean, the other thing is, we're polling consumers every 2 weeks, James, and what's really clear is that although, in sort of April, May, June, the number of people who are willing to take a cruise and or ready to take a cruise dipped down to the 30 and 40%. Today, it's over 70%. It's like 73% of consumers are ready to take a cruise today. And then even more with a simple nose swab that would, again, deny boarding to any who tested positive for COVID. So even more people than the 73% are willing to get back on a cruise ship if they have certain assurances met. So it's not just us. It's that we've learned something about the pandemic. We've learned that obviously cruising is not the impetus for the pandemic, and that the health concerns can be mitigated and handled as long as people act responsibly, wear masks and social distance and wash their hands. Mm-hmm. We don't see any reason that cruising should be singled out as an activity that can't be where the health risks can't be dealt with.
No, absolutely. Now, you just made your own comments. I think the deadline was September 21. So, it's sort of in brief, what comments did you make with the CDC about the no sale order when that comment period expired?
Yeah, we basically we talked to the CDC, and 700 of our members actually the week before also responded to the CDC's RFI once we alerted them to that fact. And so we're really proud of that. We know that the grassroots activity and the grassroots activism amongst the ASTA members is extremely high. We let them know exactly the devastating impact that decision had on our industry, and the need for the CDC to lift its no sale order so that people can get back to cruising as soon as possible. We understand that in the pandemic that certain things might have to change, or temporary restrictions might have to be put in place, and that, again, masking is really important. We used the Director Redfield's words for him, which when he said, listen, a mask is more important than a vaccine, because a vaccine is only 70% effective, and a mask can help keep from spreading the virus. So we'll take the good CDC Director Redfield at his word, and make sure that he lifts the no sale order so that people can get back to cruising, because they are desperate to get back out there.
Yeah. And also travel advisors are desperate to get selling cruises. That's for sure. Now, what happens if the CDC, if they do extend the order? I guess the question is not.
Well, we've written strongly worded letters. We've turned on our advocacy. We'll just have to keep continuing to put pressure on them, both publicly and through private channels, to understand. I think they have to come out at this point, James, and explain why they would keep the no sale order in place. Infection rates have been proven to have come down when certain precautions are made and put in place. So that's basically what we told them in our letter is masking seems to be the real key here. And, cruise ships are already designed where there's a lot of outdoor activities and a lot of space on these cruise ships. And so with certain, again, with very few changes, some of the sort of things that the large scale, gatherings on a cruise ship could easily be mitigated by masking. I was really happy to hear from Royal Caribbean Cruises that their muster activity is going to be held in cabin now. So right. I think that's a great thing.
No, they have a lot of different, and then I guess the question would be, based on what you've seen from the cruise lines and what your members have seen from the cruise lines, do you believe they have demonstrated they can sail safely for customers, the crew, and the ports they visit? Are these health and safety protocols really sufficient?
Well, I hope so. I'm not a public health expert. It feels to me like it's obviously the COVID is involuntary spread, and it's spread through close contact breathing. So as we watch certain countries open their borders back up, and in some cases in Western Europe, I know the Wall Street Journal reported this morning that cases in Spain and other places are spiking because people are mingling. I think that mingling without the proper sort of social distancing and masking protocols is really what spreads the virus. So I'm sure that the cruise lines can put these things in place, but they certainly need to be enforced vigorously. And I think if that's the case, then absolutely. I can't wait to get back and cruise again.
Well, actually, one of the standards they put in, I think a lot of these cruise lines are going to be asking for a COVID test before you get on, which I hope they do. I've had my problems getting a COVID test anywhere. It's kind of crazy, and I've had COVID, as you know. But I just had to do one for a family function. It was difficult to find one. But hopefully the cruise lines will find a very easy and quick test that, at least to give some reassurance to passengers and guests that it'll be fine to get on. Now, one of the things I wanted to ask you about, obviously during this whole pandemic period, you and ASTA have been really, as I said before, great defenders of cruising. Why did you stand up so forcefully in support of the cruise industry? I won't say it, but at times you were kind of leading the way in defending the industry, where sometimes even the Cruise Association was not out there on, talking about it. And the corollary to that is, why was the cruise segment, do you think, targeted by CDC instead of airlines and hotels, things like that?
Yeah, we're not a sort of, bystander for this, James. It's not only important to our members' businesses, but cruising was singled out as an activity that, in a way that other things were not. And restaurants and grocery stores and other kinds of activities that even other modes of travel. There are 1 million people going through the TSA checkpoints every day now, nearly 1 million people. Airlines weren't shut down, hotels weren't shut down. Why was cruising singled out? I think we felt like it was an unfair criticism, and maybe some of the some of the subsequent developments from the CDC singling out cruising just didn't feel right.
Right.
And as we contacted them and pushed them for answers, their sort of unsatisfying answers that we got from them really caused us to lean in even further. It made no sense to us why cruising was singled out, and obviously there were outbreaks on ships, but honestly there have been outbreaks everywhere. So we just feel like singling out cruising was unfair and arbitrary, and still feel that way today. And hopefully we can get the CDC no sail order lifted.
Well, I think earlier this year, when we had you on last, it was and you had written a column which we republished, and talking in reaction to some comments that CDC officials had made in an article in Skift that really seemed to portray somewhat of a bias against cruising, and so we talked to you about that then. So hopefully some of that bias is finally removed, but we'll have to see, right?
Yes, we hope so.
Yeah. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit beyond this. Let's just hope, and today, the day that this is coming out, will be the D-Day, so to speak, for cruising, if we can get back in the water. And even that, the cruise lines themselves have a voluntary suspension until pretty much November 1st, and then we know there are definite plans for some lines. And in fact, I'm speaking to one of the lines right after I speak with you to talk about those plans. To get back to cruising, but one way or the other, we hope that we can go ahead and start selling cruises. But I didn't want to just talk to you about that. Obviously, the other big issue down in Washington now, is that the status of any kind of relief legislation to provide small business like travel agencies with new loans or even a renewal of the paycheck protection plan. What's the status of that now, or we just are going to be dead until after the election?
Yeah, I sure hope not, James. We have held 110 Zoom and GoToMeeting calls with legislators and their staff since March, many in the last few weeks. We have been strident advocates on behalf of our members, helping legislators understand just how decimated our industry has become. And it's partially because of the government's decisions to close borders and the CDC's no sail order, and the reciprocity of other countries denying entry to Americans has led to the decimation of our business.
Right.
So, because I hate to say you broke it, you bought it, but in this instance, their actions have had a direct and real impact on our members' businesses. But for that government action, we'd be having and the COVID virus, obviously, we would be having the best year that ever. The sale of travel has been on a tear for the last 5 years, and so I'm tired of Washingtonians here talking about bailing out the airlines and bailing out the travel industry. This is not a bailout. These are circumstances. This is more like a natural disaster, right. And these are circumstances that we did not create and that we've had to respond to. So to answer your question, for the last several weeks, I've been less optimistic about a deal getting done, but I really feel like in the last maybe 24, even 48 hours, with what you see on CNBC and other places, that Secretary Mnuchin is has talked several times today with Speaker Pelosi, and we're very hopeful that the Democrats are going to be taking a vote tomorrow morning on a $2.2 trillion package that will then see where we are in terms of the president's support and or the Senate Republicans. But there's no doubt that this relief is desperately needed in our ranks and amongst our members, and that we're doing everything we can to make sure that our legislators know that they need to pass this next round of COVID relief.
Well, definitely, it seems like a matter of difference of the size of each package. Somebody wants a $2.2 billion, and somebody wants another amount. So hopefully they can finally get through, and then we might not have to wait till the November election or past it. But obviously, we all thought we'd be long gone from this. That the first package would have been enough, but it wasn't. And
it's not going to be enough. is certainly not enough. And the issue is that what happens in the election is important, and depending on whether or not the Senate flips to be democratically controlled, and or what happens with the presidency, we're looking at if something isn't done before the election, you could be looking at February as the first time for significant relief to be offered. And what we have been telling our legislators in the last, particularly in the last 45 days, is that is an unacceptable timeline for our members. That many, many more of our members will have gone out of business by February if new relief measures have not been put in place.
Yeah, and I can see. I've talked to a lot of people out in the industry. It's sad because we all have friends. I mean, Facebook is just littered with people in the travel industry overall that have been furloughed or lost their jobs, and we've been, as we all wait for travel to come back, and clearly this kind of legislation is desperately needed. Now, is there anything else you want to say either about the CDC cruising situation or government relief before we leave?
I just, the whole exercise here of our elected officials trying to see how long we can hold our head underwater is completely unnecessary. And has been for at least the last month, or when unemployment insurance expired at the end of July, and then when most people have gone through their PPP money, who had again done the right thing and hired people back and put them back on the payroll, and it kept paying them even though demand has been extremely suppressed. Our members in large measure have done what is right and have played by the rules, and so the fact that more relief is not available right now is really disconcerting, and we hope that Congress, gets their act together and provides relief during this, once in a lifetime pandemic. Other than that, though, no. I mean, I'm with you. The CDCs, I don't know what's going on over there in terms of their particular level of interest on this issue right now, but I just hope this expires and we can get back to sailing in a responsible way, which is what I think everyone wants. And certainly our profession relies on.
Well, let's hope, the CDC does not extend the order, although, again, as you said earlier, it would be nice that they actually mention it, that they are going to not do it and why, and maybe even have some protocols they've developed, maybe with the cruise lines. And then, of course, we really do hope for more government relief in the weeks to come, as soon as we can, and not waiting for the election. But I want to thank you for taking the time to be on with us today on this really a day that's going to be pretty crucial for the industry, I believe.
Thanks for having me, James.
I'm James Shillinglaw, and this is Insider Travel Report.